Hello, my name is Kevin Bateman, and this is Events in Spiritual Places that People Have Forgotten to Visit. Inside the fire, there is a healing. I chased them, and I never stopped. Impunity is what they enjoy. I clutched a pistol and ran in the rain, past crowds on the bridge. For years, I studied their photos. I was meticulous. I cut my hair, and I disguised myself as one of them. They tried to start new lives, but I found them. They ruined mine. The system wants you to forget. No! They will never forget me or my daughter. I will hunt you down till the day you kill me. And I give you Mairéad O'Donnell.
Within the secret state. 20 years ago, it felt like a secret explosion across despair. I would have slipped out early between night and humans, cycled to the village, ticking wheels, frightened rooks scattered above exhausted pubs to craw on the aerials, cackle on roofs. Nobody rose before 8. The only smell came from unloaded grain at the mill. Pre-dawn primitive tangling with pokey village, I dumped the bike in the hedgerows, whipped wet aroused weeds with my hand, slipped, ran, crossing stream to field the undiscovered territory, my Australis, my found south. This morning, after so long, the call again. Quickly, the same evaporation of self from house. No bike, just feet, the need to walk hand in hand beside a secret, in a time when I thought that none remained. High security homes dozed through the dawn, bedrooms blinded, gates bolted, motion detectors watchful. Four-wheelers face out as if to spring. I quickly pass by. Away then up the road to the spread field where humming barley catches the last mist and the sun throws a limb of delight across the world's deep bed. The Bog Witch's Daughter, one summer. My threadwork spread out and died, abandoned on gardens and fields. The ripples, tucks, limeberries in snoods beneath canopies of leaves. A hiss of dry grass, blown kiss fairy horns. Armfuls of birch, bend, drape, rustle. Cooking apples like green roses at dusk. Flat on the plain, I gorge my lungs on heather perfume, earth musk. If my child were dead, none of that would matter. No flags of colour, no spell, friend, foe, nor life itself would make summer ring my heart's grim bell. As summer is, so my child. Babe bog witch, Irish primitive, fierce white seed lost to reason, summer carrions mark her season. And my final poem it's one really about the earth, which is very much in trouble. Against the vanishing, Hollywood Lake, County Monaghan. On the lake shore of conscience I stand, God help me, certain that in Argentina a woman also stands, nature struck. My unknown companion will recognise waterfowl, marvel at grebes, flamingos, as I too greet the ducks and moorhens of this drumlin lake. The wild pigs of her climate still suck water from thicketed reed beds. She sprays herself against mosquitoes, feels again the deceptive rush of abundance. Here, Polish families picnic late with children and a shaggy puppy. Their voices echo group to group. Along the shore, two local men chat about the swallows. Not so many the year, one remarks, then bites into a sandwich. Their murmurs reach me, sentiment about shy birds from other decades, corncrakes, cuckoos, long vanished, and how at this lake the pikes have overbred, savaged every last cygnet. Shame, his companion adds, finishing his beer. A dusk fox slouches from the wood, summer cubs in tow as she prepares them for winter. In Argentina, Saturday night falls hours after I'm in bed. Even so, a mirror conversation rumbles on. Thoughts replicate like pockmarks. Where are the birds? My unknown woman friend inquires. What happened to the chinchilla, armadillo, giant otter, and who last heard of any jaguars? She bites into an olive, sips her wine, reminds herself to go again tomorrow to the lake. Years stretch and reverse, hard not to judge. Argentina as much as Ireland, Canada as much as France or Italy, wherever birds are shot and feathers scatter. See the white playboys pose with rifles over zebra, elephant or Cape buffalo, as if this action was radiant. Lucent cloud threaded behind trees still cajoles. Briefly, we believe in the black reflection of a crannog, its single surviving swan, creating a moment of ease. But the seasons will not release us from mounting debt. On the lake shore of living conscience I stand. I can do no other.
And I give you Lynn Buckle.
Travelling grassy paths, freely roaming, told you can't pass without an escort. Hazy colour dawns and fathers saying, don't go there in the bed of night, it's not right. Bridgets Well, black wall of rock and stone, where men dripped through night time. Before, she had words to escape. Somen, in bulk, solstice, equinox quarters and tidal waters, dammed by heads of households, masters, ministers, men, beating, owning, stealing meanings. Women, dismembered from family, for their part in being, blooded. Put back together in blackened, fenced-in fields, where metalled instruments stitched guilt, buried placentas, scything resentment, widening quiet, men uncaught, while sweat and heat lodges, fire in tribes, sisterhoods blowing flames higher, burn back the night. And then Brigid appears again in my story, What Willow Says. I follow the track into a dense hollow. The sound is sparser here. emptier despite the thick woods. It may hold fears, or this may be the sound of trees' slow growth before they sink. I create cinematic, slow-motion hand signs, which evolve from one steady shape to another. They are backed by low rumbles from the distant village. These do not warrant signs, if we do not want to hear them. The forest has been planted in clusters of single species, bands of young shelter belts, stands of evergreen conifers, new oak dynasties, swathes of beech and birch. I walk out of one section and into another of pine. The sound changes in an instant. Not quite dead, just different, muffling and absorbing the rustling of nearby deciduous hardwoods. At last, I can hear the difference. Here, the secret talk of coniferous trees is in their collective quiet, bedded deeply in insulating floors of brown needles. Even the pine's cracked bark serves to dampen down and slow the travel of sound, until the wind arrives. It doesn't so much as slough through the sedentary boughs as hiss and swish and slither sideways. It hits in sneaky whistles and is gone as soon as I can find it. And there is a rogue oak tree, survivor from previous times and bogmen filled and fell upon this landscape, when oak meant more than a name can lend. Dwyer in Irish. It was a sessile native, and our county was known as Church of the Oak, settled by Abbess Brigid, whose story is older still of pagan sisters nursing spiritual shelters. A goddess, co-opted into sainthood. Her myths not legends or fiction, but real stories of healing powers, leader of spiritual significance. She spread her magnificent cloak over Curragh plains, marshy fens and oaken forests. As far as her hem stretched was deemed her county. She stitched them into protective roofs of oak tree canopies, later abbeys, where she lived and nurtured. They're easy signs to configure by hand. A fallen trunk cuts across my path, displaying a ray of shallow roots. It has settled on the ground like an upturned locust, and they're 30 years old. The wind-blown pine was planted far too close to others. All trees, regardless of size, break at the same wind speed of 94 miles per hour. But it wasn't for this that it lies here. Isolated from its kind, it was ousted, told to take that and feed the neighbours. I listened for a different orchestration. Must wait until winds blow again. Behind me, a sithering begins, races up through pines and stops atop the old oak tree, which takes its time to transfer the sound. Individuated branches catch it, lap it, twigs and the last leaves clap it back and forth noisily, enjoying the fracas until pines sneak it away and sway before I can say I have heard them, heard their susurrations.
And I give you Tiziana Soverino.
I'm going to read 3 poems, and I'm going to start with one called Mountains. On a chilly April afternoon, I boarded a bus that transported me away from the hustle and bustle of the city, from traffic lights and chics, concrete and car parks. Only 2 miles distant, and the scene was utterly transformed, silently sneaking in from the corner of my eye. It was quiet, but for the sweet song of the soft stream singing a lullaby to my ears, exhausted by overstimulation. The mountains around me were aflame with golden firs and deep green pine trees, some bathing in the glory of spring, even under an overcast, leaden sky. And I started to think that this is the place where in ancient times a famous royal hostel stood. Every corner and nook, every recess tells its own story. These mountains make space and time different. They undo the damage caused by the word. They promote silence and feed reflection. They generate growth and make you breathe deeper. So the second poem I'm going to read is called Chain of Inspiration. Silence. In a land enshrined in noise and hustle, music and thunder, Where so many people are terrified of quiet surroundings, I'm longing for silence. The wonderful, enchanted silence of a sleepy village, whose woods lay thickly covered in snow, or the energetic silence of the Fianna bands long ago, who could cover countless miles at a quick pace without being heard at all. This is not the vain, frightful silence of oblivion and emptiness that sometimes cover my heart, but the silence rich in inspiration, promises, and self-aspiration. As usual, I'm chasing inspiration that, like a hunted prey, runs away from me, ever fast-flown, shy and mutable deer, whose life and shape are fluid under constant change. Like an unreliable, moody lover, inspiration moves near me and suddenly leaves me empty inside. It moves in ebb and flow, like the tide of the ocean, and makes me bewildered and exasperated. How often I have sat upon this journey, been able to see the world through new eyes. Whether it is the work of the honey-mouthed god Ogma, or the chemical reaction encouraging my brain by innumerable cups of coffee, I must give thanks for the incredible feeling inspiration brings. Allowing me to glance the poetic hint embedded in small things and my daily surroundings, making me feel alive and fulfilled. Although good and bad days follow each other, even if life is at times merciless, I still have a blank paper that I can feel, and the ink spilled on the page will bring relief to my heart, that in turn crawls with sadness and leaps with joy. Like a shooting star, inspiration regenerates my life, helps express my identity before vanishing in the night sky. I have one more poem that is called At the Edge. At the edge of sunset, it is where I will utter my cry of anguish, and no one will listen. Just like a loose page, detached from its original manuscript, unbound, battered by wind and rain, obliterated by dust, slowly fading away. Time is eating my core and spiking my edges. I am willfully trying to construct an armor, a shield of thorns, building up wattles and eye walls to protect me in spite of this splendid isolation. I'll encounter you there, in the land of broken dreams, of even socks and chipped teapots, of unwanted silences and misunderstood words. At the art of creation, chaos and order touch each other, and the fire burns inside myself, you and the world. Dusk is a time for reflection, lovers and morning arts. Trying to find a balm for my wounded soul, I turn to you and breathe once again. Thank you.
Doreen, would you like to sit in the steps?
Yes.
And I give you Doreen Duffy.
Thank you, Kevin, for organising this, and I'm delighted to be included in it. Thank you so much for the invitation. My first poem is called Across Moon and Stars. The lines on my father's face mapped out a journey for me, across moon and stars in a sequence of dreams, to shores of embroidered fields. Guided by ghosts, clouds imitated shapes of darkened trees. A full moon yielded shards of light, petered through moist leaves. A hardened skin protected life within, thick wooded veins that withstood great pain, twisted branches, aching limbs, dug down deep in soil, where new roots climb, and laid my fragile soul under this watchful sky. My second poem is for this St. Bridgets Well, and it's called Place of Stone. Where in the silent lack of traffic the road sweeps around to the right, pillars into water bleed shadows a darker shade. Colours hang from the white thorn tree, hoping to rot away the pain. Water murmurs its healing grace, mirroring a rippling September sky. Bleached grasses hug themselves to trees that shuddered a final breath, collapsed with age. They gave up and died in this place of their birth, their skeletal bodies strewn, still protecting their land like many hands that were here so long ago before mine. Silt and sand swap place for grainy place in a dance of stones, each inscribed with your name. A sister who wasn't a sister at all. A friend that died, leaving a family of wild roses behind, with brambles and thorns for tongues. And a mother who would have given anything to stay here with us a while. I walk away, followed by the sound of the water, a chanting prayer, a contemplation. My last poem is written for my best friend, and it's called This Is Only for a While. I will take you to the sea, and when we reach the water's edge, I will pull the rowboat down and help you step inside, and we will laugh so hard, because this is also hard. When our smiles subside, we will push out on the waves. You can tilt your face toward the summer sky, reflect your eyes the deepest blue, and dream white horses riding by. And in that way you do, you will tell me not to cry, and then you will remind me this is only for a while. When we reach the line where the ocean falls away, the wind will whip and drown our screams and lift us out of the deep. We will let the waves support us, carry us ashore. On sand of glass and seashells we'll feel pain like nothing before. Each sparkling grain, a jagged blade, will lacerate our hearts. Our footprints deep behind us will continue to make their mark. We'll turn and look towards the line that divides the sea and sky, and then we will remember this is only for a while. Thank you.
And I give you Mairéad Carroll.
I'd like to share this poem called Hope. Hope is pulling me along. It is seeping in through my bones. Like tears, it falls and rises again with the morning sun, casting my shadow self in all of its colours of grey and light before me on this concrete road, lined with rows of dandelions and primroses, uncertain where it is taking me and whether I can trust stepping into the unknown, and if I can still sing my songs. As the crow flies, a happy melody on high, its musical sound circles the clouds and lifted my heart up to the sky, imagining the freedom in his wings and dancing across uninterrupted skies. Back down, I pound on grass-centred roads, filled with puddles and potholes, held by hedgerows of blackthorn and sweetly scented rows of firs. I notice a burst of yellow, sprung in between iron and stone. Hope springs through the root, grounded in faith that seeds do grow when planted in belief, and spring leaves the winter behind. Grief falls away like teardrops from the trees. In tears it trickles, meeting rivers. With a free flow, building momentum now, around boulders and rocks, it excitedly meets the sea. With open arms it falls into its charms, like a lover once lost is found again. Hope is the dance that holds me in uncertainty and cradles me into the darkest of nights, reigniting my desires under an explosion of stars, my dreaming embers rekindled, warm and tender in awakening with the sun. Hope is the bridge that carries me on this road in stepping into the unknown. My next poem I'd like to share with you is called Silver Linings and Shiny Things. Searching for silver linings and shiny things in clouds, and imagining swinging from the stars as the autumn leaves swirl around me, a reminder of all that has fallen and all that is bare, the branches left behind, yet grounded in the soil, with roots rooting forever. Under my feet I stand questioning the planeless skies, and whether the pilots are wondering and questioning too at the same sky in this very moment, dreaming of taking off and landing again, safe and sound, on a runway, away from the turbulent mind. As swallows swoop and birds glide, free from metal objects in the sky, and the clouds float softly by, patterns of angels, rock stars and castles appear with the moon, highlighting the magical happenings on high, moving swiftly on, disappearing silently, where Venus shines regardless of viruses or dreaming, and positivity posting into virtual portals of connecting our passions and stars. And my final poem I'd like to share is called The Space of Time. It's that whole thing of whether I'm going to write a poem or sing a song or write a song. I'm going from my fiddle to my phone. All alone now, the house is quiet, except for the birds mid-song. That space of time, uncertain now whether to put pen to paper or fiddle to bow. My hand is longing now for the feel of movement across the page, using my big pen now as a microphone. I sing the words of a merging song. The skies are opening and my mind is clear as I sing. If the stars could see you now, what would they say? What would they say? And now my hand is in flow on the blank page with nowhere to go. A poem will hold me safe in the spaces between the lines, unfolding and falling and getting up again. A song will soothe and rock me as I write, like a lullaby, melting away all nighttime fears. The sun brings warmth to dry my tears that come, washing away the worries of the day. My unconscious flows now across the page, a wild imagining and of open cages and loosening and letting go, of procrastination, and lyrics appear, and words, and music echoes from the corner chambers of my heart as I sing more words, and a melody that meet together in a dance, a waltz of life, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, across the floor, letting my mind be free and sit and rest a while once more. So thank you for that, and I'll play a tune. Yeah. This melody came to me today, so it's a gift for this sacred place.
Doreen, does anyone have a partner that can record us at the end?
Does anyone have fun?
Partner. You're my video man. So we're going to come to the very, very end of the field. We're all going to come up. You know when to come to the holy well. Okay. Hello, my name is Kevin Bateman, and this is Events in Spiritual Places that people have forgotten to visit in St. Bridgets Well in Kildare. Inside the fire, there is healing. I give you Mairéad O'Donnell. Please bow.
I'm here.
If you want to bow, you can. Lynn Buckle. Tiziana Soverino. Doreen Duffy. Mairéad Carroll. Thank you all very much.